Good evening, everyone, and welcome to College Football Pits and Analysis from yours truly, Jackson Johnson, and my good buddy, Austin from Sports Talk with Austin, as we go over the latest and what's going on in all of college football, and we bring you our latest pits for week one. How you doing today, good buddy?
I'm doing pretty good, Jackson. I'm looking forward to making some picks tonight. Can you believe we finally have week one of college football upon us? I mean, it feels like it's been a while. I'm glad to have it back. And time to get to the games that really count now.
Well, I will say we've got ourselves an exciting week because that main course is back. I mean, like last week was just an appetizer. Now we're getting that four-course meal.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Oh, yes. It's like going to an Outback Steakhouse and getting the steak, the baked potato, and some mac and cheese, or getting all the good stuff. And then you get dessert too.
yup. Well, we've got some fun games. Not those games, but I mean, those will do for a time being until we get to like North Carolina, Minnesota, North Dakota State, Colorado.
Yeah, these are a lot of just the FCSs and kind of like the cupcake warm up games for a lot of these teams. But there it is, Jackson, North Carolina, Minnesota, Thursday night, 7 p.m. Central, 8 Eastern, and 5 Pacific if you're on the West Coast. Jackson, this is going to be a fun game. I'm looking forward to it. But Jackson, can PJ Fleck do it again on a Thursday night?
I think he can, especially with it being at home.
I will say, Jackson, how do you feel about North Carolina this year? It's hard to get a read on them.
Yeah, it's squiggly line. I don't think they're going to be doing so hot. I mean, they're not going to be getting a 10-win season or anything. It looks more like an 8-win season.
I agree. I feel like, Jackson, what scares me about this game is the North Carolina defense. Because we saw last year what they did against South Carolina. It looked very promising. And then they kind of faltered down towards the end. And then
Yeah, I mean that Iowa game just felt like it went to Minnesota's head. Honestly, it was not good. I mean, they went down the stretch, but luckily they got into a bowl game due to their APR. They did all right in school, so it was like all they really had to do was watch one or two games to see if magic would happen or things would go their way. Bam. And we got a what's up from Moose. Moose, how you doing, good buddy? Thanks for tuning in to tonight's edition of the Pits and Analysis Show from Sports Talk with Austin and myself. Appreciate it, man. He's getting something squared away at the moment, but you know, Minnesota being on Thursday night, that sounds pretty good. But I'm not gonna make a pick on Minnesota, North Carolina for the time being until Austin gets back. But there's another game I'm looking at here, and that's North Dakota State, Colorado. Oh, here we are. I told the audience I wasn't gonna make a pick on North Carolina and Minnesota until you got back.
sorry about that. Sorry about that. Camera was going in and out trying to fix it. My apologies. We're good now. But go ahead, Jackson. Make your pick, good buddy.
I'm gonna go with Minnesota 21-17.
I'm going to say North Carolina gets the win 24-20. I think the Tar Heels, they'll do just enough to get the win. I think Max Johnson will have a nice little game, and I think North Carolina is going to get a nice road win to start the year.
Well, I will say this next game is going to be huge. North Dakota State and Colorado. Well, our buddy Moose is saying they likes Minnesota on this one. And
oh, go ahead, Jackson.
I will say, I feel like Minnesota can get it done at home. I just hope that they don't let this game go to their head like Iowa. Because I know that some of the shine from 2019 is gone, where it's like, when you're winning, everybody's all about row to boat, row to boat. But when you're losing, nobody wants to be hearing about row the boat, row the boat. But it's just a lot of things like that in life. It's like when you're doing all right, everybody will put up with your quirks. But when you're losing, it's like, oh, okay, we need to talk.
Yes. I feel like, Jackson, the North Carolina-Minnesota game could not be a bigger game, I think, to start the year. Because if Minnesota loses, Jackson, like you said, it could be trouble for PJ Fleck. Like you said, there could be a conversation to be had in the offseason, in the upcoming weeks.
Oh, yeah. It's insane. But it doesn't matter what you did 5 years ago. It matters what you do now and what you've done for the last year or so.
Mm-hmm.
But North Dakota State going up against Colorado in Folsom Field on ESPN. North Dakota State lost their head coach, Matt Entz, to USC as he went to go be a DB's coach. And now they got Tim Polasek as their new coach. I will say I've got a feeling there's kind of a cradle of coaches thing going on in Fargo, North Dakota. After Craig Bohl left for Wyoming, we saw it Chris Klieman succeeding. Then we see him taking over at K-State. Matt Entz, he's now an assistant coach at USC. And if he can help D'Anton Lynn make some magic on the USC defense, they can get a lot of coaching opportunities someplace else. But Colorado, they got a lot of talent. Oh, yeah, they got more talent for sure. But, like, Coach Prime, unfortunately, he's not been doing himself any favors. He just kind of runs that mouth constantly about how we're the victims of everybody here and there. And you're not going to get any place by saying you're the victims of this person, that person constantly. If anything, if you really feel that way, you should help your team get motivated from that. Use that as a motivation tool. I know 60 Minutes is going to be praising Coach Primetime. And I like Coach Prime, don't get me wrong. But I got to see more. I got to see more of them recruiting wins. I want to see some on the field wins. That Colorado State game was great and all, but you shouldn't have been going to double overtime with Colorado State.
And I will say this, Jackson. The thing that interests me about this game is, I want to see how much improved Colorado is. And, like Moose is saying, they're very scrappy. But we've also got to think, this isn't the North Dakota State that we once knew either. This isn't the days of Carson Wentz and, Trey Lance. It isn't that North Dakota State. So I'll be really curious to see how this game plays out. Because, Jackson, we know what Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, what they're going to be all about. I want to see what North Dakota State's all about. And if Colorado can block somebody.
I think it's going to be, and I'm going to take a chance with this. North Dakota State 24-20 against Colorado.
Oh, upset special. Well, Jackson, I got something to tell you. Not so fast, my friend. Primetime Deion Sanders is going to get the win. I'm going Colorado 34-24.
Oh man, we're full of bold picks tonight for sure. It's gonna be, oh man, it's gonna be a fun week.
We're split on the first two.
Yep. Oh man, Temple,
Here we.
Oklahoma. I mean, I know Oklahoma's gonna win that game, but the thing is that it's the first game in the SEC era for the Oklahoma Sooners. What do you think about Oklahoma, being in the SEC now?
So, Jackson, like you said, I'm like you. I think Oklahoma should win and win comfortably. There shouldn't be no surprise upsets. Shouldn't be. But as far as Oklahoma and the SEC, I'm very curious how they're gonna do, because now with Brent Venables, their defense, that was always the biggest question. Can Oklahoma's defense hold up against these better teams? Well, now with Brent Venables in charge, I think they're trying to fix that. They're trying to address that issue. And, Jackson Arnold, we'll see what he is. In the bowl game, he looked all right, but Oklahoma ended up having like 6-7 turnovers. So Oklahoma in the SEC, I'm going to be like you, Jackson. It's going to be wait and see mode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we know Oklahoma's going to win against Temple, so it's like there's no worries there.
Ooh. Florida Atlantic and Michigan State. Jonathan Smith's first game as Sparty's head coach. Jackson, is there a chance Florida Atlantic pulls an upset?
I would say they beat the spread. I think it's going to be like a Michigan State 28-24 victory.
Yeah. I'm going to say it's a little closer. I'm going to go 27-19 Michigan State.
Oh, okay.
I think it's going to take them a minute to find themselves.
Well, it's funny seeing the 2017 Cotton Bowl rematch on Friday between Western Michigan and Wisconsin. I mean, that'll be fun though. I mean, I know it won't be as fun as during then, but still, it's still going to be a fun. Well, it's going to be fun to see whether we see Wisconsin beating the spread or not. Although I wouldn't be putting myself in position on that game.
And here's the thing, Jackson. Wisconsin sometimes tends to blow it. Could this be upset alert on a Friday night? Could it be? If it was at Western Michigan, I would think about it. But like you said, I think Wisconsin wins. But Jackson, I think they look sloppy doing it. I'm going 30-20. I think Western Michigan keeps it within 10.
I think it's going to be like a Wisconsin 28-13 victory.
Okay. That's respectable.
But I'll tell you something. My latest guest at the Jacksonian, the editor at Underdog Dynasty and Hustle Belt SB Nation, Steve Helwick, he's going to be at this game covering it. And, he's going to cover another one of the games that we'll go over here in a little bit. And we see a top-notch, well, not exactly top-notch battle, but a battle nonetheless between the TCU Horned Frogs and the Stanford Cardinals. Now, there's a lot of questions about TCU. Is the 2022 magic going away from TCU? Do they still have some of that magic left over? That's going to be the question all season. And what's Troy Taylor going to bring for Stanford in his second season.
It's interesting because Jackson, this is, Stanford's first year in the ACC. It's very interesting. TCU took a dramatic drop last year. They missed the bowl game after going to the Natty, and like Moose said in the chat, their Cinderella season is over. Yeah, I think that was one of those one-hit wonder years. I know a lot of people think that Sonny Dykes, is the man to lead TCU in the right direction. Like that wasn't a one-hit wonder, that they were actually legit. And then there's some people on the other side saying that they had all of Gary Patterson's players and all the talent to go with it, and Sonny Dykes was able to be more of a leader and put it together. I think Jackson, don't get me wrong, I like what TCU has brought in. I think Josh Hoover is a good quarterback, but do I think he's a national championship level quarterback? He hasn't shown that whatsoever. But there's a lot of people that are very high on TCU. And then there's some that are kind of like waiting and seeing. This is going to be an interesting game, Jackson. I've flipped on this game several times, but I'll let you make your pick first.
I'm going to say TCU 35, Stanford 27.
So, Jackson, I'm going to say we have an upset on Friday night. I'm going Stanford 24, TCU 17.
Ooh, there we go. And our friend Moose says, I don't see TCU competing again for a while. Well, we are definitely going to wait and see for the 2024 year. But I'm right there with you. I mean, the Big 12 is just getting tougher and tougher now that Utah and Arizona are in. And I think West Virginia can have a surprise season right there. I mean, they surprised a lot of people last year when everybody was picking them last. And, this year, I think they can do a lot better than 8-4. Especially with there being some people say, well, you don't have a lot of good wins. Well, you beat a North Carolina team without Drake May. There are some naysayers. And if I'm Nell Brown, I'm using that as motivation.
Well, Jackson, and now we're finally on the Saturday slate.
Yep. We got an amazing rivalry that a lot of people in the 80s saw. When you thought of top-notch rivalries in the South, of course you thought about Alabama and Auburn. But you also had Clemson, Georgia in your mind. Now, unfortunately, these two schools have not played each other annually like they used to. But still, Clemson, Georgia, tremendous game. Now, we don't know if we're going to be seeing same old Clemson from the past 3 years, but I got to tell you, as long as Dabo is being stubborn about the transfer portal, I don't see Clemson even being an at-large team in the playoffs right now.
Well, Jackson, that's the thing with Clemson. Like Dabo has said multiple times that he doesn't want to use the transfer portal. He doesn't believe in it. And he's saying that he's building Clemson out of God's image, what God would want them to be. And don't get me wrong, Jackson. Like, I'm all with that. Like, all respect. We all have our own religion opinions. But sometimes, as you say, Jackson, Dabo could be a little stubborn. And I think that can hurt him. That's going to hurt him. And it's already starting to hurt him because, Jackson, each year since the portal and NIL and all that has started, they've dropped and dropped year after year. Like, I hate to admit it, Jackson, but the day of just going and getting a high school recruit and bringing them to your school, that's almost gone now.
I think honestly, you have to do a mix of both. You have to recruit high school athletes still, and you need to make sure you recruit the athletes that are looking to leave their schools in the middle of their freshman year, or sophomore year, or junior year, because you want a little mix of everything. But as for the Georgia Bulldogs, some of their players just don't know how to call an Uber driver. I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, Jackson, sounds like they're not being responsible adults. But
No.
Jackson, this is going to be an interesting game because Georgia's replacing a lot as well, and a lot of people are wondering, can Clemson even hang tough with them? And here's the thing, and I will say this: Clemson's defensive line has a lot of NFL talent on it. From what I've heard, from what I've read, and what I've watched, if Clemson's going to keep this close, it's going to be because of their defense and their defensive line. So, I'm not picking an upset, Jackson. I'm going to pick Georgia, but I'm going to trust Clemson's defense makes this a slugfest. I'm going 28-23 Georgia. I'm going 28-23 Georgia.
I'm going to go 24-17 Georgia.
Okay.
But another game that I wish was played more often in the 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and especially in the years from 2005 to 2007. Penn State, West Virginia, which will be in Morgantown, West Virginia, on Fox on Big Noon Kickoff. Let me tell you, that game is going to be a wild ride.
Yes, it is. Jackson, that place is going to be rocking Saturday afternoon. I kind of wish, Jackson, they had made it a night game again. I kind of wish they did, but I understand Big Noon Kickoff needs a game. I'm looking forward to this because this game's going to get rocking. I really think we're going to find out if West Virginia is legit or not. This is going to be the game that decides it.
Well, I think reluctantly, I'm going with Penn State 28-20. But I'll be honest, I do believe West Virginia can be a huge surprise team. Like, I had them in the preseason on the Voice of College Football X post, and I'll put it out in just a bit in the chat. But I had them as my number one surprise team in all of college football. Because from what I've heard from Joey Foster, our friend at the Voice of College Football, he believes they can get it done. I mean, he got it right about West Virginia last year when everybody was picking them go last. But now they're not expected to win or go to a Big 12 title or anything. But I mean, I don't even think they're expected to be in the top 3. They're not even in a preseason top 25. But I think they can show why they should be in the top 25 this year. Although I'll be pulling for the Mountaineers, I've got Penn State winning this one again, reluctantly.
So, Jackson, I came so close to picking an upset. Like Moose said in the chat, this is one of my upsets, LOL. Penn State 24, West Virginia 27, like he says right here. But, Jackson, what made me lean Penn State is the fact that they don't lose early season games. It just feels like it always is Michigan or Ohio State, always. But I think this is going to be a very tough road game for the Nittany Lions. I'm going 23-20 Penn State. They win it on a walk-off field goal.
Well, I hope the Mountaineers beat them. That would be sweet if that happened. But a little fact about Illinois State, Iowa, we're not going to see Kirk Ferentz coaching due to a recruiting violation this Saturday. Now, he could still coach on practice, but he and assistant coach John Budmeyer are going to be suspended from Saturday at 12:01 a.m. to Sunday at 12:01 a.m. Now, the last coach that wasn't named Hayden Fry or Kirk Ferentz, would you like to hear the last coach that was there before those two guys?
Sure.
His name was Bob Cummings. And his last game was on November 25th, 1978 against Michigan State.
So let me ask you something, Jackson. Are you thinking there's an upset brewing?
No. I just want to give a...
Just wanted to check.
Oh, man. Oh, if you saw... Oh, man. For those that saw Hawkeyes live yesterday, Moose and Erica got at it. It was... Well, I will say... I will extend an open invitation. Would you like to come on After Dark this Sunday night, Moose? That'd be cool. The more the merrier, man.
Well, Jackson, I see another interesting game. Virginia Tech Vanderbilt. Is there a chance that Vandy pulls off an early season upset at home?
Nah, I think it's going to be on bad beats on Scott Van Pelt.
Okay. I'm taking Virginia Tech 38-10.
There we... Well, I'm going to say Virginia Tech 35, Vanderbilt 21.
And then, no, this is not basketball, but Maryland and UConn. This is not basketball. This is football. Jackson, does UConn upset the Terps? Terps at home? On the road, excuse me?
No. But we're going to hear more. But we're going to hear more Big 12 rumors, though. It's like, can we please go away from conference realignment rumors? I'm sick of that crap.
I got you. And then I don't either, Jackson, but I am going to be curious to see Maryland in their quarterback situation. I know the quarterback played in the bowl game against Auburn looked pretty good, and I believe he's the starter for this game. I kind of want to see how it shapes out. But I'm going to go Maryland 36, UConn 21.
Yeah.
Oh, there's your favorite team, Jackson. Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Play off, Tennessee. You ain't done anything to improve. And we got a yo from Traveling Bulls. Yo. Good buddy. How you doing tonight? Thanks for tuning in.
Traveling Fools. Is Miami back yet?
That's what we want to know. But we got the defending FCS national champs, South Dakota State against Oklahoma State. I know that there is like a note about Oklahoma State struggling in season openers recently. I gotta say, you can't be doing that if you want to be contending for a national title. And honestly, but I'll show it to everybody while we wait for Austin. So, of course, last season they beat Central Arkansas 27-13. They allowed 40-something points from Central Michigan, which is bad. They struggled against Missouri State. They beat Tulsa in tight fashion, but are we going to see this again from Oklahoma State? Are we going to see them whip South Dakota State in a 55-14 game. I don't think that's gonna happen, but we're just gonna wait and see. They're kind of weird for some reason. I mean, like 09, for example. They won against Georgia, and they had, like, everybody cheering for them, and everybody was all happy. But then a week later, they fall apart against Casey Keenum and the Houston Cougars. Then there was, like, another year, like 2011, they lost to Iowa State, but that's no time for no day. 2016, they blew it against Central Michigan. Now, yes, they got screwed over. They got screwed over by the refs in that game. But unfortunately, they put themselves in that kind of a position. Last year, they got smacked around by South Alabama in week 3. And the week after, they had the last laugh over the Oklahoma Sooners. They got smacked around in the bounce house at Central Florida. Now, will we see Oklahoma State lose another game that they shouldn't? That's going to be the question there. Now, I hope that's not the case. I want to see nothing but awesomeness for them. But we're going to wait and see for the Cowboys. Now, you can mark me down for an Oklahoma State 35-20 victory. It's going to be a struggle until the fourth quarter, but that's just my opinion now. There's no doubt Oklahoma State's going to win. I mean, and apparently they're going to do just enough to beat the spread. So that's pretty much it. Who's going to get cursed on the CW on that game? That'll be the question there. Oh my God. Ohio State, Akron. Go away. Oh, Lord. A good rivalry game. TF, you're going to love this one. You're going to see Miami play Florida again for another few years, unfortunately. Like, you're going to see, yeah, because I really wish this game was annual. I really do. I don't like the fact that they never played once in the 90s. I don't like the fact that they only played each other a few times in the 2000s. It is an insult that they only played each other in 2002, 2003, and the 2004 Peach Bowl, and in the 2008 season. And they only played each other twice in the 2010s decade. In 2013 and on week 0 of 2019, August 24th. And the fact they're only going to play each other this year and next year. That's not good. That's bad for the state. That is bad. I want to see, I love seeing Florida State playing Miami. I love seeing Florida playing Florida State. I want to see Florida play Miami every year, and I don't want to hear how it's hard. Everything worth having in life is hard. You got to think about the states, the universities, everything. Because if we have Florida-Miami matchups in the 90s, let's say 1991, 1992, that would have been huge. Florida-Miami in the 2005 regular season, that would have been huge. Florida-Miami in 2021, 2022, sounds pretty good to me. But chat, comment what you think about Florida-Miami. Should it be annual? Should it not be annual? Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I venting too much about this game? But let's look at the 2024 game itself. You hear enough about me venting, so it's like you're not going to have to put up with it much longer. Florida is really good at home. They got a huge winning record under Billy Napier at home, but they cannot get it done on the road. Luckily, this game is in Gainesville. unfortunately, I got to go with the Florida Gators in a 28-24 victory. And, both these coaches are in huge trouble. I mean, Mario Cristobal's in some trouble, but nowhere near as bad as Billy Napier. I mean, has anybody looked at the end of that November slate? It's scary. It's just bloody right there. You start off with Georgia. You got Texas in November 9th. You got LSU. You got the Ole Miss Rebels. And you got Florida State, although we don't know what's going to be happening with Florida State. I know some people are like, oh, it's all over for Florida State. But this is week 0/week 1, not week 12, not week 9. So we got to see the rest of Florida State first. Now, if Florida State loses the Boston College Labor Day, which we'll get to in a bit, we'll wait and see. But if Florida can win this game, it'll be a huge momentum shift for 2024. And who knows, maybe we could see Billy Napier get off the hot seat. His ass is on fire. It's not helping when you got like a lawsuit from a recruit in the spring. I mean, I know it's like, oh, well, lawsuit. Yeah, that doesn't automatically mean you're going to get fired. Yeah, but it certainly doesn't help. It doesn't help whatsoever. And, we've looked at Mario Cristobal, and we've seen his history. He's a pretty good coach. His teams always win that one game that they shouldn't, and they lose that one game that they shouldn't. Now, we saw like Mario Cristobal at Oregon, especially his last year. They shouldn't have won that game against Ohio State, but they did. They shouldn't have given up 99 yards against Stanford and pissed it away in the fourth quarter and overtime, but they did. Hey, you're back.
I see. Yeah, my headphones broke. See, Jackson, you always got to spring for the extra stuff. But I'm back now. I see we're on Miami, Florida, and this is a controversial one because I've been listening to you, and you've been saying how Billy Napier's on the hot seat, which I'm not here to argue with because Jackson, I think a lot of Gator fans are ready to ship him out on the next plane out. But Jackson, if Florida goes 5-7 and they look competitive doing it, I think there's a case for him to keep his job. But on the other flip side of this, Jackson, Miami, they put all the talent together. They got Cam Ward out of the transfer portal from Washington State. This is Miami's best chance, I think, to win the ACC is right now.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be one of those games, Jackson. I feel like the loser of this game, they're going to get a lot of grief for losing. But I don't know if you made a pick yet or not. Have you made a pick yet, Jackson?
I did.
Who'd you
told
pick?
everybody. I said I was reluctantly going to go with Florida. It'd be 28-24, and I didn't want the chat see me have my venting session too much. I had a little bit of a venting session about Florida and Miami not playing each other, so it's like every year. So it's like it's bad for the state, but I'll definitely make a point on that again later at some point in the future.
So Jackson, I'm picking Miami to win this game. I'm going Hurricanes, and I'm picking Miami to win 38-35. I think this is a shootout down in Gainesville. And I think Cam Ward leads them down at the end and kicks the game-winning field goal.
Well, I personally hope Miami wins. But, I mean, and, Billy Napier's really good at home. So there's always that. That was one of the reasons why I went with Florida anyhow, because their home record. That was pretty much it.
I think Miami, this is the year they're going to put it together, hopefully. I'll put stock in Miami.
There's
A
our
lot of
friends,
cupcake
Mary Matt.
games.
Huh?
Oh, Mary Mac.
Shh! Don't tell Ben from Exploring with Ben and Sam.
Oh, right.
Oh hell, it's live. He'll find out anyway.
This could be an interesting game, Jackson. Miami, Ohio at Northwestern. Could Miami, Ohio spring an upset?
Yeah, I mean, like the last several seasons, there's always that one MAC team that's upsetting a Big Ten team. The only time that's not happened since 2006 was last season. But we almost saw a few of them upsetting Big Ten teams. And I'll be honest, I think it's going to be a close one. I think we're going to see a bad beat. I think it's going to be a Northwestern 21-17 victory.
So, Jackson, I really want to believe in this Northwestern team. What David Braun has done in just 1 year is simply fantastic. And I hope he can keep this trending the right way. But Miami, Ohio is sneaky. I think Northwestern will win a close one. Close. I'm going 21-18 Northwestern.
That's fair.
21-18 Northwestern. Go be close.
Well, and I mentioned one game that my latest guest of the Jacksonian, Steve Helwick, was going to be at was earlier Western Michigan, Wisconsin. Well, he's also going to be at another game that's going to be on Fox Sports 1. That's going to be UNLV Houston. Now, can Barry Odom continue the magic that he has made at UNLV in his second year? Or do we see Houston in Willie Fritz's first game as head coach at Houston put a screeching halt to UNLV?
Ooh, this is an interesting game, Jackson. I'm looking forward to watching this. I think personally, I like what Willie Fritz did at Tulane. Jackson, I know you love you some Willie Fritz because Tulane, they were your team.
What can I say?
They probably still are your team.
They made me look good because you remember, like with you and Will and Jeffrey, because I was like the only one that was like, I'm gonna go with Tulane over USC in the Cotton Bowl because I mean there's too many opt outs from USC and nobody at Tulane's opting out of this game. Guess what?
No,
Tulane didn't. They made that comeback. Bam.
But Jackson, on to UNLV Houston. I want to trust Houston, but something telling me that Willie Fritz might lose this first game. I'm going to pick another upset. UNLV 27, Houston 21.
I think I'm going to go Houston 28, UNLV 24.
Okay. Jackson, we're flipping on a lot of games tonight.
Yes, we are. But that's what makes this show fun.
Hey, Jackson, I thought you would for sure pick Miami. I was like, Jackson's going to pick Miami with me, isn't he? Nope, you went the other way.
Well, this business, you cannot go with who you want to. You have to go with what you know.
This is true.
So, but our next couple games, the first game, I mean, we know Alabama's going to beat Western Kentucky. I mean, let's be real. That's going to happen. But it's historic because it's the first game without Nick Saban since the 2006 Independence Bowl. Or, well, I mean, yeah, like the 2020 Iron Bowl because, like, he was out due to COVID and Steve Sarkisian took over as interim coach for that game. But without Nate, because that was like part-time, but 2006 was the last season where Saban wasn't full-time head coach Tuscaloosa. And, as I covered on Crimson Tide Live, the first edition on Alabama at the Voice of College Football, I mentioned that it's going to feel a little awkward seeing Coach Saban and Alabama looking at one another because it's just going to be like seeing your ex-girlfriend or your ex-boyfriend at a pool party or a party in general where you're like, hey, what's up? Like, it's just going to feel awkward, but then, it won't be so weird after like a few minutes.
So here's the thing, Jackson. I think Nick Saban could be coaching for another 20 years because he seems like he enjoys it. He loves it. But Jackson, do you think maybe he stepped down? Like, hey, I know I can still do this at a very, very high level, but maybe it's a time for me to enjoy some time off with Miss Terry and let them usher in a new era while they're still in a good place.
Well, that, but also he didn't like where the way college football was going with the NIL.
Kind of like Jay Wright for basketball. The NIL. A lot of the older coaches are like, we don't want this. But a lot of these newer coaches are saying, yes, we do.
Yeah.
Like me personally, Jackson, I don't mind it as long as it's done right. I mean, You are a college athlete. You are going to be in video games and on posters and on magazines. You do deserve a little bit of the profit cut. Wouldn't you agree, Jackson?
Oh, yeah.
Like if someone was taking pictures for you to be on a cover, you would want a little money for that, right?
Hell yeah, I do. I mean, somebody's taking a cover of me. I better get a little something out of it. I'm not just going to be like, here, they'll be happy with what you get. I mean, this ain't freaking Caddyshack where it's, you'll get nothing and like it. Yeah, no.
Oh, my gosh.
I don't work like that, bro. I'm on a cover. I better get a piece of the pie or a piece of cake.
Or you better get a percentage of whatever that cover of the magazine or video game makes.
Exactly.
Now, let me ask you this, Jackson. You could speak better to this than I can. But Jackson, when Nick Saban retired, what was your first thought? Were you like, the end of Alabama is almost near, or did you think, okay, this is something new, let's see what it is?
I think a little bit of both because honestly, when Nick Saban retired, at the time the biggest story was Pete Carroll retired, but then it got overshadowed, so to speak, because no one really talked about Pete Carroll, not returning next year as head coach of the Seahawks for 2024. Everybody was talking about that for a few minutes, but then Saban retires from Alabama. That's on everybody's mind. I knew it was on my mind because I was like, wow, this is like the end of an era. Like, I knew this day would come. I just didn't think it'd be this quick, first off. And secondly, I'm interested to see who's going to be the head coach. And whoever gets hired, I really hope they don't get complained at for not having 10-win seasons or how you're nothing like Nick Saban. Because
yes,
and whoever that Nets head coach was or will be, they would be running things their way like how Saban did. Because like before Saban got hired, that was one of the things he made a deal with the boosters on. He's like, you're going to lay off on how I run my football team. I run things my way or it's nothing. Guess what?
Well, and
Cincinnati's.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the thing too is Jackson, and I don't know if you watch a lot of the Alabama players' interviews after Saban retired, or obviously you watch media days. but they always ask, "Is the culture any different?" And they all said, "No, the culture is still the same. Even though Coach Saban is not here, we still keep that same culture." And Kalen DeBoer's even said, "Saban put in a culture, and I'm going to see that it sticks here at Alabama. There's a standard here, and I'm going to keep it."
Yeah. I mean, we know Alabama's going. We know Alabama's going to win this game, but it's just I wanted to cover give an analysis on that for a bit.
Mm-hmm. And like Jackson, in the world that we are in, this is big news. Mm-hmm. It's gonna be weird seeing Kalen DeBoer in a red ball cap on Saturday with an A. I got so used to him in a Washington ball cap.
Yeah, but I really like the job that he's going to do in Tuscaloosa. And, for some of those that watch Sonny Verma at Locked On Illini and Illini Cast and Justin Adams on Nebraska at the Voice of College Football, they also host a Big Ten show. And I was fortunate enough to be on there a second time, and they asked me my take on who I thought would be a great hire for Alabama. Who should Alabama get if they're going to get anybody from the Big Ten? I said 2 names: Dan Lanning or Kalen DeBoer. Mm-hmm. Those were my go-to. That's how it was going to be.
And Jackson, not to get too far in the weeds. Sorry for cutting you off, but Jackson, I heard rumors that Dan Mullen might take the job. Was there any truth to that?
No.
I heard rumors of that.
No. I think I just don't think old cousin Eddie's gonna leave ESPN anytime soon. He's too happy there.
But go ahead with what you're gonna say, Jackson.
But speaking of things that are gonna be awkward, we're going to be seeing Mike Elko and Riley Leonard go against one another in College Station, Texas on ABC on 6:30 p.m. Central Time. And I don't understand Texas A&M being the favorite, but I'm just going to be nice. I'm going to be nice. I'm going to be nice about the egg.
Good boy. Good boy, Jackson. Here's your treat.
But yeah, what's your for many?
So I know, Jackson, you're probably thinking that Texas A&M should not be favored because they haven't done nothing yet. But here's the thing, Jackson. We always say different coaches do things different, and I like what Mike Elko brings to the table. Jackson, I really think you're going to like this version of Texas A&M. I'm a big Mike Elko guy. Like, I followed him from day one at Duke. He was somebody that I enjoy watching on the sideline. My question is, can he keep these 5-star players in check? Because at Duke, Jackson, you don't always get the best. You get the 2-3 stars, and you kind of just get and you're able to control them a little more, teach them a little more about loyalty, respect, hard work, and dedication. Whereas 5-stars, as we know, Jackson, sometimes come in with an attitude of me, I don't care about you.
Yeah. It's bad because you can't be doing that. So
My thing is, Jackson, and I'm sure you're going to give your take on this too, Riley Leonard versus Mike Elko.
Yep.
It's almost like when Tom Brady went back to New England for the first time. Not to that extent of that level. It's like, hold on, Jackson, let me cook the stew for you. Let me hold on, I'm cooking for you. I'm putting the beef and the carrots in for you, setting it up. So it was like when he went back the first time. And not to that extent, Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, they're at the top of their sport. You'll see where I'm going with it here in just a second. But those two knew each other better than they knew their own self. And with Elko and Riley, it's the same thing. These two guys know each other like the back of their hand. That's what makes this so intriguing. Go ahead, Jackson. I'm sure you will add more to this.
Well, and at the same time, like, you know, kind of like how I've got questions about Texas A&M's ability to win a big regular season game.
Mm-hmm.
Notre Dame can't win a big postseason game, but luckily we
This
don't
is
have
true.
to. We don't have to ask that question now. We can wait till Notre Dame gets it done more. But you know, Marcus Freeman is in a pivotal third season. Now's the good time to see whether they can get to a playoff, that they can get to that 12-team playoff. This is going to be a huge test.
Jackson, what sucks about that though is no matter how many games Notre Dame wins, is they cannot get a bye.
Yeah, it sucks. But, oh well, they don't ask us.
This is true, Jackson. We're not the one cutting the checks. By golly, Jackson, if we were the one cutting the checks, we'd have a say in this. We'd be like,
Okay.
listen here. If Notre Dame goes unbeaten, you give them one of them buys, okay?
Yep.
But, as you say, we don't cut the check.
Nope. But who are you going to pick on this one?
Now,
man?
let me ask you, who am I going to pick? I flipped on this game multiple times, but Jackson, I'm going to trust Mike Elko in Texas A&M. I'm going Aggies 30-22. 30-22, Texas A&M wins. Riley Leonard throws a pick six late in the game because of Mike Elko's tricky defensive mindset. I'm going A&M to get the W.
Well, if they win, ESPN is going to overhype them like they're everybody's business. They're going to be like, oh, this is a team that's going to win it all. What a bunch of horse dung. I heard this same crap in 2014 and 2015. I even heard that in 2021. It's like,
so Jackson is.
Yep. I'm going to go with Notre Dame. It's going to be a 35-28 victory. Oh, yeah. You knew I'd be going with them.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Right.
I should have known.
Oh, man. But, you know, the defending national champion Michigan Wolverines are going to be starting off their monumental 2024 season with the Fresno State Bulldogs on NBC.
Yeah. Here comes Saturday night. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes Saturday night. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Okay, I'm done now. But this is going to be interesting because I know people are thinking that this is not going to be a very competitive game. I think this is where we possibly see, because I feel like Michigan's going to have a couple growing pains. And Jackson, we've talked quite a bit about you believe Michigan should win this game pretty comfortably.
Obviously.
I don't know if you still believe that or not. I'll leave that to your pick. But Jackson, I feel like, and if there's any Michigan fans still watching or are watching, I'm picking you all to win this game, but it's going to be a struggle bus of a game to win. I'm going Michigan 24, Fresno 20.
I'm going to go Michigan 35, Fresno State 10.
That's fair. I just think this is going to be more of a struggle bus.
But we got Mount West on CBS between UCLA and Hawaii. I gotta say, I'm wondering what UCLA is going to look like because I don't see good things happening for them in 2024.
Yeah, Jackson. Have you seen their schedule? We talked about how Florida schedule. UCLA got a bad draw too.
They got to end their season with Fresno State. And they got LSU in September in Baton Rouge. That's going to be like one of the few Big Ten games we see on ESPN or ABC that's not a playoff game. And it's going to be LSU Skull Dragon UCLA. They're going to be beating them up. But other than that, UCLA, Hawaii, what do you think this game's going to look like? And could we see an upset?
Jackson, I would like to think UCLA would have enough talent to beat Hawaii. But as we know, traveling to Hawaii can be a bit of a tear sometimes. Jackson, I'm going to pick UCLA to get this W, though. I'm going to go UCLA 34, Hawaii 13. I think the Bruins will have a little too much talent, and they get the W.
I think UCLA is going to win this one 28-24.
Okay. You got it a little closer. Okay.
Well, and here's this game that I've been really thinking about, Georgia Tech, Georgia State. This looks like a possible trap game. It's like Georgia Tech could be riding high off that upset victory over the Florida State Seminoles. But they got to remember, you're not going to be ranked until Tuesday, the day after Labor Day. And also, if you win, you're for sure going to be in that top 25.
Jackson, I know how you think this one might be an upset, but I think Brent Key is going to have them laser focused, ready to play, not going to take them lightly, eyes on the prize, and they're at home. I've got Georgia Tech 38, Georgia State 20.
I'm going to go Georgia Tech 28, Georgia State 17.
Okay. I like it. We're not pulling any upsets. And as you see, a bunch of cupcakes and nothing happening games. And then we got an interesting one. Late night Mountain West action. Wyoming, Arizona State. Jackson, do you care to give a quick prediction on that one?
I think Arizona State's going to win 31-28, but if this game was at Wyoming, I would be picking Wyoming for the upset.
So, Jackson, I got something to tell you. Not so fast, my friend. Wyoming with the upset in the desert late at night. Wyoming 34, Arizona State 31.
Absolutely. That's going to be a win there.
And then
ooh, where'd you go? There you are. What are you going to say?
I was going to say good, buddy. Buddy, we got us a Sunday nighter on the night before Labor Day or Memorial Day.
USC and LSU.
Ooh. Jackson, this is I know, Jackson, what you're gonna say. You're not buying the LSU hype. I know how you operate, good buddy. You're like LSU until you beat somebody that counts. Well, Jackson, here's their chance. Right here in front of them. Now, I will say, Jackson, whose defense is going to give out first? Because you have arguably the two most pitiful defenses based off last year's statistics. But also, LSU is replacing Jaden Daniels as well. And, USC, the plethora of talent they lost. Miller Moss balled out in the bowl game against my Louisville Cardinals, of course. Always has to be us. But this is going to be a really interesting game. I know Jackson is gonna say as soon as I turn it over to him, I'm not going to steal from him, but he always says Brian Kelly in the big games. Always does what, Jackson, in your opinion?
He blows it in the big games. Now, he can win a big regular season big game, but he can't win a big game in the postseason.
So, Jackson, I flipped on this game. I'll let you pick first. I'm gonna let you pick first. I'm gonna put the heat on you first.
You can go ahead and pick first on this one.
No, Jackson. I want you to upset a fan base first.
Well, if you insist, I think I'm gonna go with USC 31, LSU 28.
Jackson, I flipped. I'm going LSU 34, USC 23.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. LS who?
LS who?
I know, right?
But
LS
Jackson, I'm really curious, Jackson. On Monday night, the only Monday night game of the season, is Florida State going to come play ticked off or not?
Well, we're going to find out because, a lot of people were, Florida State was rightfully upset last season.
Mm-hmm.
But, there were like a lot of people just going, I told you so, Florida State. You guys suck. Oh, you're pouting about last year and this, that, and your culture sucks. And, you warned me about the culture thing. And I was like, nah, it's just a bad day. They've had a bad day. But now I'm wondering. I'm honestly wondering.
Well, because Jackson, the thing was, remember I told you, I'd asked you, I was like, do you find any truth in these rumors that we've been seeing online speculating that Mike Norvell maybe has possibly lost the locker room, that the culture of Florida State's going down? And you kind of told me, you were like, that's kind of baloney. That's just them trying to stir up dust. Give us something to talk about before the season starts. But now, Jackson, after the performance that we saw, do you think, Jackson, that possibly that there, like you said, there might be some truth to it?
Yeah. And I'll be honest, I feel like this is going to be a close one. But before we make our pick, here's a little fun fact from our buddy at Locked On Boston College and Eagle Insider from 247 Sports, AJ Black, as he goes over the last time Boston College opened against a ranked opponent in 1995. They lost to Ohio State in 1995. And I believe this was a little bit after Tom Coughlin left for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So Boston College lost 38-6 in that matchup. And the last time they won against a ranked opponent was a 14-13 win over Texas at home in 1976 in the final year of the Darrell Royal era. And I gotta say, that's huge right there. You don't go, not everybody can say, oh, hey, we beat Darrell Royal in his last year. That's historical.
Mhm. Mhm.
But
That
what's your
is,
pick from? Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Jackson, that is big stuff right there. There's a little history on BC's side.
Yep, there most certainly is.
Now, Jackson, before we make our pick, how do you feel about Bill O'Brien, the former Bama OC, being the brand new head coach at Boston College? Do you like it? Do you not like it? What do you think?
I mean, they're not hiring him to win national titles. They're hiring him to get at least to 9 wins in a regular season. So, I mean, he was there to kind of get things, in a turnaround for Penn State in 2012 and 13. And, they weren't exactly they weren't expecting national titles or anything. They just want to see that get like 8-win seasons. Fortunately, they did.
Mhm.
Don't be making Bill O'Brien your general manager. Because, that ain't Bill O'Brien's fault that he was made the general manager. That was the Texans' fault. So there was that. But what is your prediction for Boston College, Florida State?
So this is another one. I haven't lost faith in Mike Norvell yet. I think they'll be mad. They'll be angry. I think their defense will be more hungrier. And they'll watch a lot of that film. I'm sure they've heard all the talking heads say, Florida State this, Florida State that. Why don't you go cry some more, Florida State? Go pack your bags and cry some more. I think they've heard all that and they're tired of hearing it. I think they come out angry, ticked off, ready to play. And I think for poor Boston College, it's going to be a bad, bad night, Jackson. I'm going Florida State 35, BC 10.
I think it's going to be a Florida State 28, Boston College 17 victory. Although
Okay. A little closer.
It could be a little, yeah. I mean, I could see it getting there, but who knows what's going to happen. But, I'm really looking forward to this. I mean, we're getting like a few rivalries back for the time being. We're getting a lot of things back. Well, what do you think, man?
This is beautiful to have college football back in our life. And the NFL will be back very soon as well. I'm looking forward to this, and I'm looking forward, Jackson, to making picks with you every single week throughout the year. Jackson will be making some upsets. We'll be making some bold predictions. Who knows, Jackson? You might even pick LSU to win it all this year. That'll ever happen.
Yeah, I was going to say LSU.
LSU. Who knows, Jackson? You might pick Texas A&M then.
They haven't done anything since Gone with the Wind came out in theaters.
Oh, my goodness. But, yeah, I just look forward to this. And this is going to be a great year. We got some great games. And as you say, Jackson, whenever the slate doesn't look too good, there's always an upset or two in the ruffle. And that segues nice into this because after all the games go final, well, all the important ones, you better be right back here sitting on your couch with that popcorn to watch me and Jackson because it's Final Whistle, Week 1 edition, as me and Jackson break down all the Week 1 games from Clemson, Georgia, Penn State, West Virginia. We'll even talk, if you would love to, we'll even talk about Wyoming, Arizona State. Heck, we'll talk about SMU, Abilene Christian if you so feel inclined. We won't talk about it too long though. But Final Whistle, as Jackson demonstrated. Final Whistle is Saturday to the last big game goes final. So I'm looking forward to it. You be right back here. Hopefully. But Jackson, I know you've had some exciting things happen this week.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them I was there for. It's a new era, brand new beginning, not just in Tuscaloosa, but at the voice of college football. Alabama Crimson Tide Live, the beginning of the new era, as Johnny Burks and Jackson embark on the new journey. Hollywood Boulevard. I can see it now. But go ahead, Jackson. Tell them more about it and why they should check it out.
Well, they can get some of the top news and notes on the Crimson Tide going into week 1. And, we're going to be having some exciting moments for Crimson Tide Live every Monday afternoon, 5 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you want some of the top-notch Alabama content, like, comment, subscribe, click notification bell so you do not miss another video whatsoever on Alabama at the Voice of College Football here on YouTube. Let's get that channel, the 2,500 subs. And as for SEC at the Voice of College Football, it's 9 subscribers away from 1,000. Let's get it there.
Mm-hmm. You tell him, Jackson. You go. You go, girl.
Well, and of course, you can check out my channel on YouTube at Jackson Johnson 979, where I'm 134 subs away from that magic number 500, and I'm looking to get there as soon as possible. And like I said, click notification bell so you do not miss another video. Like, comment, subscribe, and check out some of my latest Jacksonian episodes. And made a little recent change on my X account, as it is no longer Jackson09960335. It is at Jackson VOCFB. Check it out. Check out my takes on college football and NFL and so on and so forth. And you can also check me out on Instagram and Threads, Jackson Johnson 543908. But at some point, I'm going to be changing my handles just to kind of make things easier on everybody. Austin, what's going on in the world of sports talk with Austin?
Well, you can find me right here on YouTube. I'll be here every Wednesday night at 9 o'clock, and I'll be here every Saturday with Jackson throughout the college football season. And you can also find me on X as well. Jackson's got it up beautifully there, like he always does. But if you love these live streams, me and Jackson will be here Wednesday. We'll be here Saturday. Heck, we'll be here on a Monday, and we'll even broadcast during a wedding if we have to. That's how much we need to get, how much we love this sport for you all. We do this for you. And like Jackson said, make sure you help Alabama's Voice of College Football channel. Get them to as many subs as possible. Get Jackson to 500 so he can get rich like Donald Trump. And while you're at it, if you don't mind, while you're at it, go subscribe to the Voice of College Football while you're at it if you haven't yet. I don't know why you have. If you haven't subscribed yet, I don't know why. I mean, that's like obvious, but you better subscribe while you're at it. Mark Rogers will greatly appreciate it, and he'll deliver you a puppy if you subscribe. Not my words, Jackson said that. But there will be no puppies delivered. There will be no puppies delivered. But
but there will be mugs, of course, like free mugs like this, like the Voice College Football mug and top 25 that actually makes sense.
Yes. So if you subscribe, there's always a chance that Mark could be doing a great giveaway and a chance to win a mug. You can even win a beautiful t-shirt or maybe win a dog bowl if that interests you. But there's always time for that. But Jackson, I've had fun doing this with you, good buddy. Any final thoughts? I think I've said enough for the night.
I've got it all out, but I will say that I'll see if I can stay up all 24 hours tomorrow for the 24-hour live stream at the Voice College Football.
Yes. Jackson, some coffee might help with that. Might.
Well, I did tell you, like last year, because last year we were talking about college football. Like we were talking about how god awful Nebraska's football culture was. Then we were suddenly talking about Westerns on MeTV. So maybe if we play our cards right, we can turn it. We can talk about Florida's crappy football culture, then suddenly turn it into a discussion about favorite '90s cartoons.
Yes, there's always that too.
That's what happens when you stay up 24 hours. And he said, and Mark did say on earlier this morning's show, he's like, don't give me any crap if I'm a few minutes late at 5 a.m. I don't think he's not going to have anything to worry about. I don't think anybody's going to get upset with him about being late 5 a.m. They'll go there.
Mm-hmm. But in between times, thank you for joining us. This has been Picks and Analysis with Jackson Austin Week 1 edition. We'll be back Saturday night for Final Whistle, and we hope to see you all there. Go Cards, everybody!